if I were in charge of the world, we would probably do our Old Testament reading, followed by the Gospel reading, followed by the Epistle, because that's sort of the order that the Gospel unfolds. But I am not in charge. So our Gospel, although it fits better after the Psalm and before the Epistle, is here. Luke 14, verses 1 through 14. That is what the traditional lectionary lays out as our text for today. But there are a few verses in this that I'm going to read that aren't included. There aren't very many. On one occasion, when Jesus was going to the house of a leader of the Pharisees to eat a meal with him on the Sabbath, they were watching him closely. Just then, in front of him, there was a man who had dropsy. And Jesus asked the lawyers and Pharisees, "Is it lawful to cure people on the Sabbath or not?" But they were silent. So Jesus took him and healed him and sent him away. Then he said to them, "If one of you has a child or an ox that has fallen into a well, will you not immediately pull it out on a Sabbath day?" And they could not reply to this. When he noticed how the guests had chosen the places of honor, he told them a parable. "When you are invited by someone to a wedding banquet, do not sit down in the place of honor, in case someone more distinguished than you has been invited by your host. And the host who invited both of you may come to you and say to you, 'Give this person your place.' And then, in disgrace, you would start to take the lowest place. But when you are invited, go and sit down at the lowest place, so that your host, when he comes, may say to you, 'Friend, move up higher.' Then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at the table with you. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." He said also to the one who had invited him, "When you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or your rich neighbors, in case they may invite you in return, and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." Here ends the reading. Breaking news. Paris Hilton is in trouble again. Don't you love it? I love it. It's not attractive, but I have to confess that I love it. I should feel sorry for her, but I don't. I mean, she deserves it, doesn't she? Don't they all deserve it? All I know is I am slightly embarrassed that I take such delight in her misdeeds, in Britney's misdeeds, and Lindsay Lohan's latest outrageous arrest, and Mel Gibson crashing his Lamborghini. It's all so delicious. In our Old Testament reading for this week, it is the nation of Judah that is in trouble again. And oddly enough, their crime is exactly the same as Paris Hilton's: idolatry. Paris worships at the shrine that is Paris. Judah worshipped at just about any shrine that promised instant relief from whatever problems they were having at the moment. Them, us, it's no different. Don't we all gravitate to any shrine or any belief system or any God who promises to satisfy whatever need it is we think we have? Our need for success, our need for recognition, for acceptance, for some tangible form or assurance that we actually matter, that we are important and significant in the world. At some level, don't all of us really crave that? That's what we crave, and so did they. So who was Jeremiah? Well, he was one of our prophets. He was after Isaiah, and he was born in about 620 or so BC. During Isaiah's ministry, the message was to the northern kingdom in its final days, and it fell to the Assyrians, who were the power to be reckoned with at that time. By Jeremiah's time, the northern tribes are gone, and it is just Judah that remains. But Judah itself falls under the same spell that the northern tribes did, and they go chasing after other idols. And now, instead of Assyria, it's Babylonia. They are coming, and God is not happy. Jeremiah was God's witness to that southern kingdom during this period of time. And he was what everyone thinks of as a prophet. He did strange things, he dressed differently, he would act out God's message in one way or another. So he was sort of our prototypical prophet, a very odd fellow. This is a heart-rending passage. We can sense God's pain in every phrase. And that's sort of odd to think about, isn't it? The God of the universe is in pain because of us. What can we do that would cause God pain? Well, I personally think that God's pain is that of empathy. God empathizes with what he knows is going to be the result of what we do. Like a parent who has to watch a grown child make a decision that the parent knows is really going to cause them, or has caused them, terrible suffering. We have to watch it with them. God has to watch it with us, and it hurts. I don't think God's feelings get hurt the way mine did when I was in 7th grade, and the clique of popular girls huddled around and gossiped about me and made sure that I knew that was what they were doing. That's getting your feelings hurt. God empathizes, and it's painful. Idolatry causes pain for God. It breaks God's heart. This passage is very interesting because it constitutes God stating his case as the plaintiff in a lawsuit against the nation of Judah. He restates the lawsuit he already filed against the northern tribes and that outcome. And then he reminds the people of Judah that he is filing a lawsuit against them for breach of contract. They have a covenant with him, and they break it constantly. And he is telling them that it's over. Specifically, God is suing the temple system of priests and hierarchies and specific adherence to the law without adhering to the heart of the law. The charge is idolatry. Priests and temple prophets, as opposed to the vocational prophets like Isaiah and Jeremiah, were well versed in the law, but it was in form only. They had wandered far from the heart of God, which undergirds the law and motivates it. Without the heart of God, the law is not only empty and meaningless, it is downright destructive. Why did they do this? Why did they wander from God? Didn't they know he was the one who brought them out of Egypt and preserved them and miraculously provided them food and sustenance? Why do we do this? Don't we remember what God does for us each and every day of our lives? Why is idolatry the granddaddy of all sin, the mother of all sin, the original sin, out of which all other sin must flow? It's because worshiping anything but the eternal one God is worshiping ourselves, and worshiping ourselves always leads to disaster. Now think about that. There are really only two religious systems in the world: worshiping God or worshiping ourselves. Boiled down to the absolute essentials, it's God or it's us.